First of all, he said I was going to talk about the firearms laws of Washington, and to relieve everybody's mind, I'm only going to talk about a little part of it. Well, you guys will all be asleep before I get a quarter of the way done. Here's some pamphlets that have some good information on them. There's some websites on the back. There's some laws cited in there. I'm going to talk about carrying firearms. There's a lot of misconceptions in Washington. There's a bunch of you probably noticed I'm openly carrying a firearm tonight. I do that most every day, most everywhere I go. And that is perfectly lawful as long as I carry in places that are not illegal to carry or unlawful to carry. Some of those places are jails. You cannot carry a firearm into a jail. You can, however, carry it into a police station, as long as it's not restricted access. You cannot carry at schools, but you can carry a fire. You can pick up and drop off a child at a school with a firearm on you. You just cannot get out of the vehicle, can't go in the building. Please don't do that. You can't go to a mental institution. We're carrying a firearm. It's a restricted access area. I don't know which is worse, going into a jail with a firearm or a mental institution.
One of the
Cannot
same.
do either one of those things, and for good reason. You may not carry into a bar. You may not carry into a bar. You can carry into a restaurant that serves alcohol, as long as where you're sitting is not in the restricted area for anyone under 21. If people under 21 can go there, you can carry a firearm there. One other thing I want to sneak in here is I'm not a lawyer, and check out everything I say. Take everything I say with a grain of salt, and check it out for yourselves before you go and act. You do not need a concealed weapons permit to openly carry a firearm. You do need a concealed weapons permit if you want to place a loaded firearm in a vehicle. One of the misconceptions I hear all the time is that if you're in a car with a firearm, loaded firearm, that you must have that loaded firearm on your person. And that's not true. The Attorney General, I don't remember, I should look that up. The Attorney General made an opinion on that, and he said that firearm can be anywhere in the vehicle. The one thing I would caution anybody about is if you've got your firearm in the center console and you've got your 15-year-old son sitting in the other seat, that they could consider that son had access to that firearm. So you want to consider who's in the car with you and where you place that firearm.
Because he's underage.
Because he's underage, and he doesn't have a concealed permit. I actually know a person who went to the post office, which I'll get to that in a minute, went to the post office. You're not allowed to carry firearms on the federal property. So he parked in front of the post office, on the street, public street, removed his firearm from his holster, kept the holster on, put the firearm in the center console of his pickup, and proceeded to go into the post office, took care of his business he had to take care of there, left his wife sitting in the car. She obviously knew the firearm was there because she knew he was carrying it. Well, when he came out, he did the second dumb thing and made an illegal U-turn in front of the post office. And there happened to be a local police officer sitting down the street about a half a block doing paperwork, is what I was told, and happened to see this illegal U-turn, took exception to it and pulled him over. And one of the questions he asked was, "Sir, do you have a firearm in the car, or on you, or with you?" And he said, "Yeah." And the officer asked, "Where's it at?" And he says, "In the glove box." Well, officer asked wife, "Were you in the car when it was parked there?" Because he evidently witnessed it going back and forth. Anyway, she received a ticket for carrying a concealed weapon without a license, because she didn't have a concealed license. So you got to be careful what you're doing. Never thought about it. About a month after that happened, my wife got her concealed permit. Because there's still, I mean, that's just, you know, I would have hoped that the officer would have used a little better discretion, but he didn't. And she got a ticket. That's just not good. Anyway, as far as carrying goes, you can openly carry a firearm anywhere you can concealed carry a firearm. You cannot walk around, and I've seen some, you know, the younger guys do this, and they really make me mad when they're doing it. They'll walk into somewhere at an open carry meeting, and they'll do, I call it the hip thrust. They'll go, hey, see this? And start doing that. That could be considered warranting alarm for the safety of others. You just can't do that stuff. When you're carrying a firearm, if it's concealed, I think it should be concealed. If it's open, it should be open for everybody can see. Let's see, I'm trying to, the one place people miss about carrying the firearms is at an open outdoor music festival. It is unlawful to carry a firearm at an outdoor music festival. That's a kind of a whole separate law. It's not even in the firearms section of the RCWs. So people miss that one, and occasionally somebody gets in trouble for that. I'll talk about preemption. The state of Washington, the state legislature has preempted all firearms laws, except for RCW 941-300. They gave a list of things that local cities, municipalities can do, laws they can pass. They can regulate the distance firearms sales occur from schools. They can do, there's a few other things there where they can regulate firearms in stadiums and arenas, except for they must exempt CPL holders. Anybody who has a concealed pistol license is exempt from that law. That's one thing that we just accomplished in the last year here in Spokane. In the Spokesman Review just really butchered this story about, we lobbied the city for about a year, finally got them to change their law. They had a law in the books which got me ejected from the arena at a Ron Paul rally for carrying a firearm. Yeah, you may have, my wife found out about it on the news, the noon news, when she saw the picture of me make the news. But anyway, I got thrown out because the city of Spokane had a law in the books that said you could not carry firearms in the arena, convention center, or other public facilities. It took us about a year and we got it changed. When the Spokesman Review came out with the story on that, they made it out to be a victory for the anti-gun people, when in fact we were now allowed to carry in there. And they were still having some problems with the arena and the stadium. I'm in the process of starting a lawsuit against them. They are still not allowing firearms, even though we got the city to change their law. That was Spokane Municipal Code 10-10-050 to exempt the concealed weapons carriers or concealed pistol licensed people. And now that we went back to the arena, back to the powers that be there, and they said, no, we're still going to ban firearms. So we're in the process of suing them. I have a meeting Wednesday with the same attorney that Stephen Fogg, who won the Seattle Parks case, where Seattle banned guns for the parks. And that went to state Supreme Court. Seattle lost, and now they allow guns in their parks. The couple other legislative things that we've done is the city of Liberty Lake had a law in the books that said no firearms in the parks or on the Centennial Trail. And I succeeded in getting that changed. And Chief Asmus was, the police chief of Liberty Lake, was actually really good, really helpful. He understood what was going on, he understood the law. Got that changed. The other thing that we got changed legislatively is not legislatively, but on the state level, is the Centennial Trail had brand new signs. And I felt bad for the Friends of the Centennial Trail They just spent a ton of money putting brand new signs up that said no firearms allowed. Well, the state preempts that, they can't do that. Somebody noticed, I called, and they've now taped over the signs. Rather than take them down, we compromised with them and just had them tape over the sign, over the part that said no firearms. The rest of the sign was great. The bad part about that is the deputy, I talked to her that okayed that. I talked to her about 30 days before she okayed the signs about no firearms on the trails. She knew, and I don't know whether she just forgot, was busy, or whatever, but that got by them, and they spent a ton of money they shouldn't have spent. But anyway, yeah, yeah. Yeah, fortunately, it was a simple solution. Just tape over the no firearms part, and they weren't out all that money. I didn't want to see them do that. But anyway, anybody got any questions or anything I can answer?
Do you live here locally?
I live just in Stevens County, just outside of Spokane. I used to live in Spokane in Green Bluff, and frankly, I got tired of the traffic, and so I got tired of not being able to make a right-hand turn out of my driveway on Saturday.
Wrong road in Green Bluff.
Yeah. I lived on Daybot Spokane Road in Green Bluff. But, yeah, I moved out to Stevens County, just about a mile across the line. Yes, sir.
A couple things you said that I was a little foggy on. You said that open carry in a vehicle does have to be on your person?
No.
Doesn't have to be on your person?
No. You can carry a firearm with, well, okay.
Okay, but I also heard you say you couldn't carry a loaded firearm in a vehicle without a concealed carry permit.
That's true.
So if you're open carrying and you get in the vehicle, the weapon cannot leave your person then?
No.
Okay.
No, it can leave your person.
But now
As
As long as you have a CPL.
As long as you have a
it can remain
CPL,
loaded.
That's not what he's asking. He's saying, if you have open carry and it's sitting on your hip, and you get in your car,
It is then considered concealed carry, and you have to have a
Yeah.
permit. If
So you can't get into your car
with a loaded
with open
firearm.
carry. So you have to unload your weapon to
Right,
enter
you have
your
to unload
vehicle unless you have a concealed carry permit.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Which would be nice to be changed.
we actually have, we're working on that, and we're also working on a bill to give notice when your CPL expires. You have no idea how many emails I got. I happen to be two, I can't believe it.
Okay, one other question for clarification. You said it's illegal to carry a firearm onto federal land,
On federal property,
federal
yes.
property.
Yes.
Matt talked about 40% of Washington state is federal land,
Okay,
Federal land.
let me dial that down a little bit. That was too general. You can't carry into anywhere, a building where a federal employee works. You can carry onto in the Bureau of Land Management property, the BLM property. You can carry there all you want. You just can't carry into like the park ranger office,
into a federal building.
into a federal building, yeah. Or on postal property. You can't even pull into the parking lot of the post office with a firearm unloaded, locked in the trunk. That's illegal to do, unlawful to do. Or the Air Force Base.
Their parking lot
That's
is
kind of baffling.
federal property.
That means you have to take your weapon out of your vehicle and go get your mail.
Ask him.
Yep, or park on the street.
Well, that's what that guy did.
Make sure nobody's in the car.
The other thing
Keep it in the
people
box.
don't realize,
I came from Idaho and I used to have my 30-30 in the back of my truck. Can you do that here?
yes,
As long as
you cannot be loaded, and you cannot place a long rifle or shotgun at any time ever in a vehicle. It's got to be unloaded to go in the vehicle.
What's considered loaded?
In Washington, loaded is a magazine inserted, or a magazine inserted with a round in a chamber, or in the case of a revolver, any round in any chamber. It's got to be completely empty. a muzzle-loaded firearm can have a charge, a black powder charge in it, a ball in, but it cannot be primed. Either it's a flintlock or have a percussion cap on if it's a cap and ball.
So a shotgun with shells in the magazine, but not in the
That's
chamber,
loaded.
that's considered loaded.
That's loaded in Washington.
Rifle too, Will.
Rifle too. Yeah. Now you can have the rifle laying there. Say you can have your favorite AR-15 laying on the back seat with the magazines laying next to it. That's legal. That's perfectly legal as long as there's no magazine inserted and no bullet in the chamber.
All right, I'll have to just add that to it.
So in like Spokane County, here, can county sheriffs, can they modify those rules? Can they make them different for concealed weapons than otherwise?
No. No. If you get in a car with a loaded firearm and do not have loaded pistol and do not have a CPL, I guess the officer would have discretion, but I'm guessing you're going to get a ticket.
Some guns have magazines in the stock. If the magazine in the stock is full of ammunition, it's loaded.
That's loaded. Yeah.
Doesn't have to be in the chamber.
No, doesn't have to be chambered. Okay. Oh, yes.
I have another one that just entered. When I take my gun camping,
Mm-hmm.
it's unloaded in the truck. But then when we get out, is it okay to leave it loaded in the tent?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah,
Always
I'm not
leave it
sure.
unloaded, just-
I mean, personally, I'm not sure if I was out camping and there was a bunch of kids around, I'd leave a loaded firearm, you know, accessible, or to, you know, being stolen or
No,
accessible to kids.
It's not accessible to kids. We got grandkids and my kids, and
Yeah.
so it's.
I've got grandkids at my house, just came over today, and I went through the house and took two firearms that I keep handy and unloaded them and put them away because they're going to be there. And the only firearm that'll be there is the one I've got on my hip now. And when I go to bed at night, I unload it and take the magazines and put them somewhere else.
Yeah, that's what we do too.
And one other thing I really wish people would do, and I would hate to see a law about, but I really wish people, if you're going to carry a firearm, go get a lot of training. Tons and tons of it, and understand the law. We got a case that went to trial today, I believe, with Gail Gerlach, that the guy,
Yeah,
that was bad.
that was bad.
It's not going to turn out good for him, I don't think, unless he gets really lucky. So he didn't understand the law, didn't understand when he could use deadly force and when he couldn't, and it's going to cost him, I'm afraid. One thing I'll bring up to Matt is 941-270, and that's carrying firearms. It's, I'll read it. Shall be unlawful for any person to carry, exhibit, display, or draw any firearm, dagger, sword, knife, or other cutting or stabbing instrument, club, or any other weapon apparently capable of producing bodily harm. And this is the part I don't like. In a manner, under circumstances, and at a time and place that either manifest an intent to intimidate another, or that warrants alarm for the safety of other persons. That really needs to be, that's so vague.
It's subjective.
Yeah, it is completely subjective, and
That almost rules out self-defense even.
yeah, that's a tough one.
In the case, and I'm very, very familiar with the Gerlach trial, and there's some facts that are gonna come out during
Oh,
the
good.
testimony coming up. But the manifestation of hostile intent, or my perceived, that there's a manifestation of hostile intent and I react to it, and there isn't, actually, it ends up they don't have anything in their hand or something like that, then this statute kicks in and you become the criminal. Which is a presumption of guilt in the law that I don't think should be.
I agree. But anyway, that's all I've got. Anybody, unless anybody's got other questions, I can help them with?
I had a question. I heard that Washington does not have a stand your ground
And I can blow a hole in the middle.
However, they are practicing there.
There, yeah, Washington by, what do they call that?
It's case law.
Case law, yeah, thank you, Matt. By case law, we have stand your ground, basically, and we're much better off in Washington having case law to back that up than like Florida, where they enacted a law to make it that way. All our laws back all that up, and so we don't really have to have it. If you go to court, it's already been taken care of and, established in the court of law.
It was part of the Freedom Agenda to codify stand your ground too.
Oh, good. Thank you.
How about the castle doctrine, which they have in Texas?
The
Any
same,
chance of that?
no, I don't think, Texas law is kind of odd. I lived there for 7 years, and, you can, there's a lot of misinformation that people have here. You can't just shoot people in Texas. I see that on the news a lot. The guy took my pack of bubble gum, so I shot him, and the sheriff came down and patted me on the back. It doesn't work like that. There's still got to be a threat. But I doubt we'll ever get to where Texas is. Texas is pretty good, but at least in my lifetime, I don't think we'll get there. And once again, that castle doctrine is backed up by our case law. So we really don't need it here. And I'll go over one more thing real quick. In order to use a firearm in self-defense, you have to be in fear of great bodily harm or death. And that doesn't mean that if he jumps up right now and walks up and punches me in the face, I pull my gun out and shoot him. That is just, I am, a punch in the nose is not great bodily harm. It's not.
You're a big guy.
Yeah. That makes it even worse for me. But please, if you're going to carry a firearm, go get some training and in the law, not just on how to use a firearm, but the training of the law. All the classes I've taken a ton of them, everywhere from Front Sight, Nevada to over at Center Target Sports and some other places. And most of the instructors spend more time teaching you how to avoid having a problem than they do teaching you how to do it. And that I really wish that more people would go do, because you don't want to go to jail because you thought you knew, and you don't want to shoot somebody that you shouldn't shoot. You never want to shoot anybody, ever.
If you shoot them
Last
outside,
thing
drag
in the
them
world you
inside.
want to do.
Empty the magazine.
Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.